LA's Mayor Karen Bass, the Nero of American politics. The good news is our fire chief is a lesbian. Am I against a lesbian being chief? Of course not. Larson also seems to believe that if a female firefighter can't pick up a man,
the entire city is on fire, and California's leaders are debating diversity metrics, not water pressure. Welcome to progressive governance in flames. Literally. In this savage takedown from Real Time with Bill Maher, the HBO host torches California's woke leadership for failing on every front during one of the worst wildfire disasters. Subscribe now if you're tired of excuses, spin, and identity politics being used to hide real incompetence. The monologue starts as California is once again ravaged by wildfires. And the response from officials, excuses, spin, and complete chaos. Maher pulls no punches, describing a city unprepared.
You need a better plan for putting out a burning city than waiting to run out of water. Governor Newsom said the local folks are trying to figure that out. Yeah, you got to do that before the fire.
Cause: incompetence paired with political cowardice. A state flush with taxpayer money, yet basic firefighting infrastructure failed when it mattered most. And instead of accountability, we got finger pointing, distraction, and in one case, the literal absence of a mayor. When confronted with the hydrants that ran dry, Newsom deflected with vague reassurances. Karen Bass, meanwhile, was off on a trip abroad.
Time of year when it was most needed. LA's Mayor Karen Bass, the Nero of American politics, was fiddling in Ghana while the city burned and later placed the blame.
Then came the gaslighting.
The mayor said about cuts to the fire department's budget, there were no reductions that were made that would have impacted the situation.
But the fire chief wasn't having it.
She said, we are screaming to be properly funded. And yes, the budget was cut and it did impact our ability to provide service. And by
the contradiction is glaring. While leadership claims everything's fine, fire trucks are rotting in boneyards. Then Maher delivers this.
California is the place that spends money and gets nothing, which is why.
And when asked what those taxes pay for, what's included for that? Breadsticks? The reality? Billions in spending and no working hydrants. The biggest gut punch came when Maher exposed the misplaced priorities of the state. A fire department more focused on inclusion statements than water supply. He read directly from Chief Crowley's bio.
Official bio says Chief Crowley leads a diverse department, creating, supporting, and promoting a culture that values diversity, inclusion, and equity while striving to meet
then hits the punchline
expectations of the communities. Well, you didn't exceed my expectations, which was that the whole city wouldn't burn down.
But what do you get for it? And it gets worse. Deputy Chief Christine Larson.
She said, he got himself into the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
This isn't a fringe rant. This is actual leadership in a burning city. Then came the damning stat.
Environment is wildfires. A 22 study found that the smoke from just the two in 2020 wiped out 18 years of carbon reduction in the state, which means we
let that sink in. The very state obsessed with environmental virtue signaling erased nearly 2 decades of progress in one season. Bill Maher goes beyond just mocking the hypocrisy. He exposes the staggering cost of progressive incompetence. California, the golden child of liberal governance, is burning. And why?
Exposed power lines keep causing fires and keep not getting buried underground because it's expensive. I've heard people say,
and when voters ask where the money is going,
I've heard people say, do you want to pay more taxes to fund this? No, I want you to use the exorbitant taxes you already collect to prioritize it.
Then came the moment of brutal clarity.
We have the highest marginal tax rate in America, higher than almost all other states, and soon Greenland.
But what do you get for it?
Because it clearly doesn't cover fire.
California collects more than almost any state, and still can't fight fire like Neanderthals could.
One could have done worse. We just got our ass kicked by fire, something Neanderthals fought to a tie.
Maher even calls out the state's environmental absurdity.
The power lines that cut through Topanga weren't upgraded because it endangered an herb, the milk vetch. which sounds like something they serve at Passover.
The real environmental cost.
Environment is wildfires. A 22 study found that the smoke from just the two in 2020 wiped out 18 years of carbon reduction in the state, which means
The finale is blistering. Maher finally says what millions are thinking. Wokeness didn't cause the fires, but it sure didn't help.
leave it all to them. Now, is wokeness the main reason for the fires? Of course not. But it's also not wrong to associate some of the unforced errors our government made with the things normies see as hallmarks of uber-progressive politics. Questionable
He lists the failures like bullets. Questionable budget priorities. High taxes that get you nothing. Making everything about identity politics. Virtue signaling overseas instead of tending to the nuts and bolts at home. Then he delivers the final slap.
bolts at home. Cali has no shortage of safety commissions and agencies and bureaucrats and regulators and, of course, sign language interpreters who communicate with their face.
And the brutal mic drop ending.
We better get some of that back soon because wildfires in California are like boob jobs in a strip club. Inevitable, and they're only going to get bigger.